And welcome back. As we go ahead and continue work on constructing our own classes, we're going to introduce something new, which is the this parameter. So up to this point, we've kind of been looking at some simple cases with our class parameters. Methods, of course, up to this point, we kind of have looked at them with like ints and strings and stuff like that, but we can also pass in parameters of a class type. Now, parameters of class type are more subtle and also more powerful than parameters of a primitive type, such as int or double. For now, we will use the class type parameters in simple situations. It'll allow us to kind of ease into using it until we get more familiar with it. For these scenarios, all you really kind of need to know is that you're plugging the class argument in for the class parameter. So let's go ahead and talk about what the role of the this parameter does. Well, the keyword this is actually another hidden parameter, though it's actually hidden because we don't normally see it. It does not appear on the parameter list of a method, but it is still technically a parameter. When a method is invoked in the calling object, well, that calling object is then automatically plugged in for the this parameter. Now, there are, of course, incorrect ways of using our variables and stuff like that. I talked about this a little bit in our last video. So there's a common situation that occurs when we want to use the this parameter. So let's just say we have the parameters of a method such as setDate be the same as the instance variables. They have the same name. So for example, name is name, age is age, etc. So here's an incorrect attempt at rewriting setDate. So in this version, you'll notice that our parameters are int month, int day, and int year. However, if you remember in the date third try class, our class had variables of month, day, and year. And because those are the same, we have a conflict here because they're technically the same name. So why is this incorrect? Why can't we just go ahead and say, well, one's a local variable, one's an instance variable. Shouldn't it matter? Well, it's not going to do the things that we want it to do. When we declare a local variable in a method definition, then within that method definition, that name is going to refer to a local variable. The instance variables are not going to kind of take that precedence because, again, it's local variables to the local block of code. And because parameters are local variables, this rule applies very easily to month, day, and year. So if we look at the following statement, let's say we say day equals day. Well, both identifiers in this case are referring to the parameter day because it's just, again, it's looking at that local variable first. The identifier day does not refer to the instance variable day. This is often described as saying that the parameter day masks or hides that instance variable. And some remarks can be applied, therefore, to how we look at month and how we look at year. And of course, this can lead to compiler errors. If we examine this rewritten method of setDate, we will get a compiler message because the following, of course, is attempting to assign a string value to the int variable month. So remember, we have this parameter that says month equals month string month. All right, that's looking at the parameter for month string. Month string says, hey, this is a integer you're trying to pass into me, but month is assigned to a variable that is a string. Now, in some scenarios, this could produce a method definition that will compile but will not perform correctly. So it's very important that we get this straightened out the way we want to. So let's go ahead and look at that same code, but we're going to rewrite it using this. So to correctly rewrite the method setDate, we need a way to tell the compiler to use the instance variable month instead of the parameter variable month. And the way to do this is to fix this dot in front of each of the variables as shown below. So we have this dot month equals month string month. This dot day equals day. This dot year equals year. This, of course, is going to produce equivalent code to what we originally saw in the date third try class. And let's go ahead and take a look at that now. All right, so here we are in Eclipse, and you can see I went ahead and changed the names of the setDate method to month, day, and year, which of course are the exact same name of the variables up here in our date third try. Additionally, one thing you'll notice is that we have these errors here. So this is compiler errors that we're talking about. And if you hover over it, you can see it's a type mismatch. This one says new day cannot be resolved to a variable. So I need to go ahead and update these here so they fully match. So I'm going to make this one day and to make this one year. So now there we go, those are updated. And again, this is a compiler error that's going to be thrown. But one of the things that we of course know, this one didn't go away. Well, why is that? Well, if we look, this is returning a string. And the problem is if you look right now, the highlighting color is matching that of the parameter. So this parameter, this kind of local variable right here, is not matching to the string one because this type right here is an integer. So we need to fix this. So let's go ahead and affix on here the this dot. And you'll notice when I do that, that error has gone away. And you notice that month has been recolored to blue to match the month that's up here with the instance variable. But you notice, even though my compiler errors have gone away, I don't have correct code. Because if you look at day and year, notice what color is the left-hand side of this expression. It is matching the same kind of color that we see up here in our parameters. So our local variables here are pretty much assigning to themselves. So it's not really going to do anything to actually update our variables that exist up here at the top of our program. So what do we need to do? Well, if we want to fix this, we're going to do the exact same process. We're going to say this dot day, and you'll notice it will again update the color, and this dot year, and that allows us to get our program into a manner that allows us to have it. Now, if you have a compiler that doesn't have this highlighting, or you're just doing this in a text file, you may not see this. But this is, again, a reason why we use IDEs, because we can see some of the syntax things that can make it a lot easier for us to spot errors. Now, that aside, one thing I want to kind of close a remark with here is if you choose to use this parameter, that is perfectly acceptable. So if you want to have, I want my parameter names to be the exact same as these because it's easier for me, that's fine. However, I personally would always recommend instead approaching this in the way that we previously had. So if you remember previously when I had done this, we of course had a method. I'm just going to kind of ignore the errors just for a second here. All right, we had this called int new month, and we had int new day, all right, and int new year. And of course then here we didn't have to have this parameter. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. However, what I want this to be is I want this to reflect these parameter values. Again, both of these ways are correct, but I prefer this way for one simple reason. I don't have to worry about this. Because then if I have to, well, for example, here we have an invocation of month here. Is this the right variable? Do I have to put this dot month in here? Or do I just need month? All right, it can help lead to less confusion when I have unique variable names for each of my local parameterized variables versus the variables that are here as the instance variables. And I always recommend this, again, because it's just easier and very easy to separate them. Because you notice we had month, day, year. Well, new month, new day, year. It's just a way to say we're going to be changing these. And of course, you can have your own kind of naming scheme that goes with it. But again, I would recommend more taking this approach personally. Again, this approach is not bad, and it does have some meaning to it. You might come across code that uses something similar, but I would always default more to this because, again, you're going to avoid some of those pitfalls that you might have if you are sharing variable names.